Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rhyme of the Times for the week ending 15th of February 2025. Trump turns his thoughts to Russia's onslaught and seems to give Putin his support, leaving the Western world fraught and Ukrainians distraught. Gwynne is caught and revealed as an unpleasant sort. 100 days up for Kemi, but the long and short is her impact's been nought and her leadership could soon come under assault. Andrew Gwynne put some stuff on a WhatsApp group and the Labour minister is now in the soup, displaying sexism, racism, so many isms. Sir Keir Starmer's housing minister is, up the creek without a paddle, kinda sunk, his career and reputation effectively chunked, his image as a worthy public servant debunked, stitched up by a snitch with full exposure, slam dunk. The Prime Minister was pretty quick to react. Mr. Gwynne was instantly and summarily sacked. There's no way back. How could he possibly be backed? This was visceral bile, not a mere lack of tact, that left many people completely gobsmacked. By post-Southport standards, a criminal act, in fact. A real apology, it appears, was hard to extract from a nasty piece of work who'd been caught in the act. The same sentence could be used, some may say, to describe the President of the USA. Though he believes he's a Jesus-like world saviour, many exclaim, Jesus, this is outrageous behaviour. And Trump 2.0 seems to be on a whole new level. Forget Jesus, the free world's now led by the devil. The globe's a monopoly board to Don the dumbass. I'll have a hotel in Gaza, a copper mine in Donbass. For vulnerable hotspots, Trump scours the planet like a fish-filled ocean being surveyed by a gannet. Canada, Greenland and Gaza have all caught his eye as places the US could take over or buy. Next on Trump's roving eye world tour was the Kremlin cowards' illegal war, and so on Wednesday he picked up the phone and dialed Moscow to see if Putin was home. Was Trump inspired or mad, naive or bold to try to bring Russia back in from the cold? And afterwards his words glowed like a log fire when talking of his chat with the diminutive pariah. The West's mood wasn't really eased at all by Trump's afterthought to give Zelensky a call. By then the US Defense Secretary had revealed how Trump and his administration feel. Pete Hegseth in effect said Europe must get real and accept that a possible peace deal could not include any consideration of Ukraine becoming a NATO nation. And all European hopes must be forsaken that Ukraine will get back the land Russia's taken. It appears that Trump had got out his red pen and drawn clear lines on how the conflict will end, and those broad red lines have been drawn in places to ensure broad smiles are on all Kremlin faces. Putin popping champagne, more pain for Ukraine, while Europe's vexation cannot be contained. Trump said Russia wants peace and will keep peace. But it seems only if they can keep a large piece of Ukraine's land that they occupy in the east, and from what we can tell that's the absolute least. Russia's winning the war, so they'll concede nought. The world's rules-based system they'll continue to flout. And next day in Munich things got a bit worse as J.D. Vance delivered chapter and verse. At the annual security conference, Trump's VP seemed to ignore the topic of security. Instead, he ratcheted up the tension by breaking with decades of Western convention. The threat of hostile states got barely a mention. To Putin and Russia he paid no attention. No word on their imperialistic intentions, and thereby by extension his contention was that Europe is under some misapprehension and the Russian threat was just their invention. And there could be heard the dropping of a pin when Vance said Europe's main threat came from within. The shutting down of free speech and rampant migration were the real security threats to all nations. For most in the room, when Vance advanced these views, they think free speech ain't a threat unless it's abused, and the only migration to be urgently addressed is Russia's army's illegal migration west. Olaf Scholz next day articulated the consensus that the US had taken leave of its senses, barking mad and barking up the wrong tree in their analysis of world security. So, JD, please don't take our words personally. Our advice, like our speech, is completely free. But this schism between Europe and the US does nothing to address Ukraine's state of distress. What use is a European united front if Trump has swapped sides to join the Russian runt? Returning to the UK domestic scene, Kemi Badenoch has hardly been heard or seen. Monday was her 100th day in the position of the leader of the official opposition. After 3 months of few gains and reform surging from the political shadows, she's finally emerging. This week, in an interview, she made it clear getting into bed with Farage was a bad idea. After last year's general election carnage, she's battled with a huge Commons disadvantage. But the sense is that the time will come soon when she'll reach the end of her honeymoon and the Tory story of recent will resume. The leadership revolving door will once more loom. Kemi's hopes to emulate Thatcher may be doomed.